Hey folks, Tim Newman with Soft Light Studios bringing you another daily assignment. Today's assignment for September 19th, 2019. Our assignment today is titled Hiking. The great outdoors is calling and it wants to speak to your hiking boots and camera. With the fall colors right around the corner, this would be an ideal time to get in some warm-up miles and practice capturing images that convey, get out there and explore nature on foot. Let's take a look at some sample pictures. Our first sample picture here is a wonderful raised walkway, and I really love the water coming out from underneath the walkway. I really like the curved line of the walkway through the frame, really giving the viewer a path, so to speak, to follow through the picture. I think that works great. I love the kind of foggy background back there, adding a sense of mystery to this, and I like the canopy that the leaning trees make on both sides of this picture. Now, I will tell you that I think that the color set in here has got a pretty heavy lean on the saturation side, but sometimes that stylistic change of color really matters, and I think it works well here. It really conveys that fall color set in this picture and does a good job of it. Our next sample picture, it's fairly straightforward. This gentleman's out here hiking. We just got a action view from behind of the hike he's engaged with. And this also is a really great example of a frame within a frame. Those trees on each side framing up the scene and looking out there, they make really great framing elements, but they also give really great leading elements pulling you into the scene overall, as do the four corners of the frame. Everything kind of pulls us out to the center of the lake out there. I like the more subdued color set, and I really like the control over the pretty much cloud-filled sky, but there's still some nice contrast up there, albeit subtle, that keeps that from being blown out. So I'm real happy with the way this shot turned out. Let's take a look at some of the elements of design that matter to us here. Now, when we're thinking about this, when we're thinking about a hiking path, we're thinking about lines, right? I mean, that's what conveys a hiking path, is a line that goes somewhere off into the woods. And where we've got lines, we inevitably get shapes, no doubt about that. And then, of course, point of view here is really important. It's what conveys the scene and your interaction with the scene, or, as we saw in the last sample picture, the subject's interaction with the scene. Let's take a look at some more sample pictures. Here we've got another hiker that's clearly engaged in the hike, and you can see the path leading off in the distance down there in the foreground. It really adds to the depth of this picture in a huge way. We've got a diagonal going from lower left to upper right. We've got intersecting lines going the opposite direction. We've got a really nice nod to rule of thirds here. We've kind of got a foreground and middle field in the background working here really well. The color set here is somewhat complementary in nature, but there's a little bit of a lean towards a monochromatic too, in terms of her coat and the grass around it, but then her jeans and the sky contrasting against it. It's a really interesting offset of all those elements in there, and I think our off-angle light over there to the left really casts a nice mood on the scene. So I'm pretty happy with this shot as a whole. This is about hiking. It's a little bit different perspective of hiking, but it's all about the topology map and getting prepared for the hike. And that's a part of the whole hiking experience. And I think this conveys that really, really well. We could have done a shot with the entire person and the entire map and everything, but what we really did here was just focused right in on the subject of planning for a hike and that map reading exercise. So I think that conveys that message really well. One last sample picture here. This is all about mood. We're really working with a monochromatic color set here. This is a blue hour image in the Smoky Mountains, and I think that this really ties that Smoky Mountain mood in quite well in this picture. I like the division of thirds here, the rock at the bottom, the background in the middle, and the sky behind it, her sitting at a vertical intersecting line. We've got the trees on the sides making our frame within a frame. Overall, I think it's got a ton of compositional elements represented here, including asymmetrical subject balance done in a really nice way. All right, let's take a look at our rules of composition here. Balance is important in these pictures. We want to balance out the subject with the hiking scene at hand and make that work. A lot of these images, I think you saw a pretty solid display of rule of thirds, and of course, that point of view is always a critical element in these, making sure that you can get the subject lined up properly with the hiking scene behind them in an effective way. Let's take a look at our export specifications. If you're going to send us an image for the semi-monthly image critique, you want to export it as you see here on the screen. And you want to use a file name that's similar to this example that you see here, following that naming standard that you see right above it. If none of that makes any sense to you, please take a look at our Update 01 video, for which there is a link in the description below. There's also a link below for the upload URL, making it real easy to get to that Google Drive and send us that picture for potential critique. Last but not least, don't forget that subscribe button. It's a great link too. And get out there and do some hiking. Take your camera with you. Get some really great hiking shots. And remember, while you're out there doing that, learning equals skills. Practice equals mastery. We'll see you out there.